Hello and welcome to a Monday with Ginell stream, as it's become, as she's kind of hanging out with me on Mondays now, which
Hello.
is really cool. Um, in the past, we did the X-Men show, which we need to get back to because that is kind of a shared love with Ginell and I is 80s, 90s era X-Men. And while they don't perfectly overlap, the where we overlap on the X-Men is close enough that it's a topic that we do need to return to, and you guys seem to like it too. So that will happen, but we found that really other show topics just seem to go out of control. So we're going to talk about anything when Janelle's on, and I'm sure you guys won't mind. Will you mind?
I hope they don't mind. That would be sad.
But so in the chat we have a Bromando Dread. Let's see. We have Artificer Joni, Cesario, Marvalis. This isn't a private chat stream, is it? Yeah. Last Sunday, I was doing a chat with someone, and it was about to broadcast, and I had to stop it.
Oh, Alois is here.
Oh, hey, Eloise. You still need to email me. But anyway, it's Monday. We're going to talk about random things because I am jamming on the Jugs book, as I've mentioned. And yeah, progress is going very good. Well, Ginell is one of the people who agreed to be interviewed, and she says she doesn't care if we do a lot of it live. So I thought we'd do that live pretty soon. We'll let a few more of you rumble in, and before we get started, I probably should have put some sort of banner featuring boobs. It would have made tons of people show up automatically rather than the future is on sale for $2 is the banner I chose. But anyway, if you could, please share on your social media that we are live. And because it seems to always get views, tell them we're going to talk about boobs tonight. In fact, let's see if I can change the banner right now. Will it let me? Okay, let's see. Let's see if this makes a difference. Or will it get me banned?
Better not. People need to get over. Oh, it just drives me nuts. People are too sensitive over boobs. It's jealousy, I'm telling you.
It is strange how bizarre and crazy people get. And for the book that I'm working on, with the Jugs book, because I'm kind of a research nut as it is, often when I'm making statements, I'll then see if I can't find studies or evidence to back it up. It is bizarre. How much is there? It is strange how much money has been spent to state the obvious.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah?
Oh, hold on for a moment.
Okay.
Sorry, my kid was coming out and giving me a hug and telling me he loved me. I'm sorry.
How you doing, Chris? Oh, I shouldn't say I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. Most of the people on here I trust. I don't think they're all weirdos, and I don't think they're going to stalk me. And if they do, I just want to let you know that I practice Choi Li Fut, and I do know how to kill people.
And frankly, that's one of the things where you threaten a mother's kid, depending on the mom, that's the chance that she won't care about the law and she really will kill you.
Yeah, I know how to dislocate elbows, knees,
cool.
break things, rip people's shoulders out of their sockets through force. Even though quick history lesson, Choi Li Fut was actually used during the Taipei Revolution. They were helping the rebels against the Manchurians.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was developed to fight against government armies. Or I shouldn't say it was developed, it was really used to fight against empires and stuff, soldiers, whatnot.
Well, we've got a comment from Marv here, and it says, I was forced to see a TikTok e-girl tell me that comics have always been queer. They
Oh,
have, how they? Well, I have it on good authority that that really isn't true. Because you see, we know about the first comics, okay? They're carved on stone walls, and they're thousands of years old. And you know what they're mostly of? Handprints, stickmen killing mammoth, and sex, heterosexual sex. So I don't think comics have always been queer. And you even jump forward a few thousand years, and you get the Egyptian hieroglyphics, which were really when comics started to really take form. Not a lot of queer action happening in there. A lot of animal-headed gods and heterosexual sex and people killing each other.
Uh, if you've ever seen any of the hieroglyphs from the Egyptians, I mean, there's a lot of sexual stuff in there, like really crazy stuff. Like we got to see some of it when we went to the British History Museum when we were in London, and yeah, they had some like women just with big breasts and guys with huge dicks.
Yep.
And yeah, it was very eye-opening for us. And then we laughed, obviously, because we're immature. So we were the Americans that were pointing and giggling at the ancient dildos and the sexual hieroglyphics.
That's a shame we don't have Kat on right now because she's really obsessed with Egypt, and she could recount the story about how apparently the reason the Nile is fertile is, I forget which Egyptian god had been chopped up into many pieces.
Osiris.
Yeah, and his pecker got thrown into the river, and when they put him back together, that part wasn't found. And a fish named Dagon ate the pecker. Yeah, interesting, huh?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
So I'm sure that story is in hieroglyphs, and you probably saw that one.
We might have. We actually, we also got to see the sarcophagus of Cleopatra, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool.
I don't think she's there anymore, but when we were there in 2006, they had the whole setup. It was pretty awesome.
Up here we go. Bromando is right on board with you. It was Osiris. Remember when hieroglyphs were Anubis horny where Anubis horny bonked Ra? Oh, Kat was actually telling me the myths of the Egyptians, and I'm like, geez, I thought the Greeks were horny. Shit.
Dude, no, the Egyptians were the first one on the perv game, man. Like I told you, we saw dildos that were thousands of years old at this museum, like and preserved penises.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yes. I took pictures of it. I got right up to the glass and took pictures.
How could you not? No one would look. There it is. Preserved pecker from 2,000 years ago, or 4,000 year old pecker.
I mean, this was so long ago that we still had our pictures developed. Like I said, it was 2006. Digital pictures weren't that big of a thing. So I can only imagine what the people at CVS were thinking when they saw what we took pictures of on our honeymoon. Because we also took pictures of King Henry VIII's ball sack armor at the Tower of London, because it's the size of a fucking grapefruit, because he had syphilis.
Holy crap. You know what? Harble just brought up the story. Wait until we get the set Horus and come salad. That's one of Kat's stories that just made me kind of like, are you serious? When she was telling me that one. I can't do it justice.
This one. I haven't heard about this one. I got to look this up afterwards.
Kat, if you've chosen to tune in and listen while you're in the garage working on your crafts, please walk in here and tell this story, because I can't do it justice. Mummified penises as still. Oh, this is going to be a great show. I hope we don't get
the penises were mummified, but they also had wooden dildos. So they did not keep them, but I think they kept them for religious purposes. I mean, I also took pictures of mummified intestines and stuff too. I didn't just focus on the sexual stuff, but there was a lot, so I took pictures.
You still have those pictures?
Yes, I do. I have it. We have a photo album that's just of our honeymoon, and they're in there.
That's awesome. Geez, my honeymoon was dull by comparison. We just went to Vegas, and we had our public wedding, and then we had a private wedding in Vegas on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Nice. I got married in Vegas. Steve and I got married in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got married at the Luxor, and we saved up enough money so we could stay at the top of the Luxor in the honeymoon suite, which was a trip because we were at the very top of the pyramid.
Oh, and you were looking down because the inside's
Yeah,
hollow. Yeah.
yeah, it was
I
pretty
asked Kat if
rad.
she'd want to do want to be in one of those rooms, and she said hell no because she doesn't like heights.
Oh no,
And I'm like, but it looks so cool.
I'm not a heights person either, but sitting there after we were done for the night, we were just chilling and we just looked at the whole strip. I was like, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I tried to get her to go on a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon, but she refused. She really doesn't like heights. But yeah, our honeymoon, we basically hung out in Vegas, spent a lot of time at the Star Trek experience.
Oh, at the Las Vegas Hilton. I loved that place.
Yeah,
That's
I
where I
wish they'd
stayed for
bring
my
that back.
21st birthday.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
Yeah,
wish
my
they'd bring
dad
it
was
back.
all about, you are going to have the best 21st birthday. I am taking you to Vegas for 3 days. And so he took me to Vegas. And I remember part of the trip because I really took up the whole free alcohol thing, man. But one thing that was cool is, yeah, we went down to the Star Trek experience, and that was really fun.
That's really cool. The thing I remember is we went to Quarks, and neither of us were big drinkers or anything, but we're like, look, we got to get drunk in Quarks. And we're there, and we're drinking this thing called a warp core breach, which is just huge drink with dry ice, of course. And the two of us are sharing it. And this Klingon walks up, right? Because they had people in costume, actors. And he walks up and he looks at us, are you two sharing that? Yeah. Cowards.
That's great. See, we never went into Quarks. We did lose a friend. I went back again like 2 years later, and we had a friend that was a huge Star Trek fan, and he just disappeared for the whole time. And we found out later he was in Quarks, and he was just sticking around the Star Trek experience the whole time while the rest of us were out and about.
Did you do the museum tour while it was there?
Yes, I believe so. Like I said, I don't remember a lot
Oh,
because
okay, because of the alcohol.
I was in my early 20s. I don't drink as much as I used to. I just make the alcohol now. But I do remember bits and pieces. I'm an unreliable narrator on this one, like I said. So I do, like I said, I remember parts of it. I remember they had some of the outfits and stuff. That's mostly what sticks out, sadly. I don't know if they're going to be reinstalling it though. Because I don't think the Vegas Hilton exists anymore.
Really? I mean, because they kept claiming they would bring it back. But yeah, the thing was the museum, I mean, it had a whole bunch of the models, which I went nuts on. Phaser props, uniforms, little odds and ends, signed photographs, of course. But yeah, it was cool. Very, very cool. So we've got almost 30 people in the room. So I suppose we can start. You down with it?
I'm down.
All right. Real quickly, for everyone in the audience listening, Ginell is one of the women who has agreed to be interviewed for Jugs, a writer's guide. And because she says she has absolutely no shame and is quite proud of her mighty rack, she doesn't care if we do it publicly. So we thought, hey, great show, right? And it probably will be. So let's just start in. Entertainment questions.
Okay.
What's the one thing in movies, books, comics, etc., that they get wrong about busty women?
As much as I enjoy seeing the characters with the huge breasts, because like I said, I love them. The outfits don't support like they're supposed to. Perfect example would be Jim Lee era. You noticed it was almost like the outfits were like vacuum sucked to women. Perfect
Mhm.
example, Psylocke. Jim Lee Psylocke.
That's immediately what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Now, it looks like she should be wearing a bra because the way he's drawing her, but the outfit is vacuum sucked to her. So there should be some sag because if they're that big, they're going to be that heavy. So that was just that, like I said, it was a nitpick for me. I still like the fact that they drew him big. Him and, oh, who came after Jim Lee? Was it Adam Kubert
Oh,
or was his brother? It was either Adam or Andy that
couldn't
came after
say.
him. He also had the same thing. It always seemed to be Psylocke was the one that they did it to the most. Honestly, I think they just drew her naked and then just put lines where her
Yeah.
outfit was supposed to be. I
I think
mean,
that's exactly what they were doing.
Jean Grey still had the weird armor, the blue like kind of weird leotard armor, and Rogue had her jacket. Storm had her cape with the shoulder armor, and Jubilee had a T-shirt. At least, thankfully, they didn't draw her with huge tits because then I would worry about pedophiles in comic book industry. But thank you, Mullet Turtle. Thank you. But yeah, it was always Psylocke looked vacuum sucked, and of course, then when they all moved to Image, holy shit, it was like 10 times worse. 2 words: Rob Liefeld.
Oh
There
God.
you
Well,
go, Rob Liefeld.
Rob Liefeld just. Well, look, even Captain America had tits with Rob Liefeld.
I'm very happy that Rob Liefeld owned up to that. He owned up to it and admitted that, yeah, that was like a dumbass drawing. But yeah, Captain America had huge tits. I never
Yeah.
thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Artificer Joni asks, dumb question, has there been a bra that uses counterweights?
I have no clue.
I couldn't answer that. You know, with
That would
us,
be fantastic.
with Psylocke, I always kind of was like, is that outfit hard? Is that, does it not move?
I don't know what was up with her outfit. I mean, she had the G-string, which I can't imagine it being practical. It looked fantastic. I mean,
Oh,
she had
yeah.
great tits and great ass, and yeah, I think she was the one that boys were jerking it to while reading that comic.
Yeah, she was definitely the standout at the time. I mean, what was a curvaceous British woman turned Japanese? I mean, kind of got best of both worlds there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Key asks, Jen, do you have a favorite artist that does artist that does big? You got a favorite artist that does big busts, right? I think that's what.
Yes, my first favorite is Adam Hughes. He's a
Oh
great pinup
God, yeah.
artist. I've met him several times at Comic Con. Like I always rush to his booth and like try and get stuff. And then second, it would have to be Jim Lee. For as many issues as I have with Jim Lee as a person, his art, especially in the 90s, he drew a fantastic set of tits. And so
Heroically.
yeah, heroically too. And at least I have to admit, they moved with gravity. Like they didn't just hold still. They moved. So those are the two that I think drew the best.
Okay, let's see if there are any other questions. A lot of Evie agrees with you on the them drawn naked and then just painted clothes on.
Yeah.
God, Liefeld's art.
Neostar Productions is correct though. Liefeld did own up to his mistakes. Like
Yeah.
I gave him props for that, and I was like, all right, man. Like at least you're owning up to it. Nobody else will own up to their crap. Oh, you know who's the third one? I'm sorry. Mark Silvestri. He drew
Oh
great breasts
yeah.
too.
I really liked Silvestri's work.
Oh,
His
so
was
did I.
he kind of had that similar to style to Jim Lee, but kind of grittier.
Yeah. Yeah, he could make the men and the women look rough around the edges, like
Yeah.
during and after a battle. Like you could really see it.
Okay. Next question. What is the most accurate portrayal of a busty woman in fiction? Now, if you can't think of anything, we can just skip these. But
Oh God, I'm trying to think. Like most of the time when it came to fiction for me, it would have been comics or video games. I never really paid attention to it in movies because it was either you'd see the breasts during sex scenes and you know that they're being held up by tape, so when big boobs wouldn't fall into the armpit because naturally that's what they do. But during sex scenes and stuff, the women's boobs always stayed up perky. Uh, okay, you know who? I can't remember his name. It's the guy that was it Go Nagai, the guy that did
yeah,
Devil Man.
yeah, go Nagai.
Okay, I liked his. I think he did a good job. I don't know if you ever watched or read Violence Jack, which was the sequel to Devil Man.
I saw a little bit of the anime.
Okay. Um, I think he did a really good job portraying breasts in that anime and in parts of the manga. I thought they were really well done because there were women of different shapes and sizes in one of the stories. I think it was called Helltown. They were all models, but they were all different shapes and sizes. And he drew the breasts of all different shapes and sizes. So they fit the women. I thought that's one that comes to mind for me.
Which I have to agree with. I actually dislike when, you see a lot of the comics where there's only one body type in the entire world.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then how does anyone stand out or how do you tell them apart? Although I meant with portrayal, not so much just drawn, I meant written as a character, best portrayals.
Yeah, that's
Or,
one that I might have to come back to. I gotta really think about it
all right,
because,
well,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, portrayal. Like, are you talking about movies or?
any fiction, games, movies, comics, books.
Okay, don't laugh at me. Um, I'm going to say Frank Herbert with Dune because of the way they talked about the still suits having to fit perfectly, and they had struggles with women, not only for their menstrual cycles, but because they had breasts.
That's an interesting one to point out. That is one part of the book I didn't really recall very well.
I think it
Uh,
comes in the later books when they're talking. It wasn't in Dune. I know it wasn't in Dune, but in later books when they're talking about the still suits.
well, that's a cool thing to bring up because as I write the book, one thing I'm constantly doing is bringing up different aspects of reality and then mirroring it with, well, this is how you would apply it in fiction. And you just brought up a great example right there. That's that is taking something that's realistic and applying it to a story and where it actually fits into the story. So cool. All right. I like that. If you could change how busty women are portrayed in entertainment, and I'm not just saying visually, but I mean as people as well, what would you want to see more of or less of?
What I want to see more of is proper portrayal. So when I say proper portrayal, there are the unicorns out there. Kat is one of them that has a smoking hot body with huge jugs that,
Mm-hmm.
she's fit. Um, Before I had Chris, I was that way. But it seems to me like everybody wants to, not all women look like that. Some women are very small and have huge breasts, and some women are very small and they have small breasts, but it seemed before everybody went nuts about them, it seemed that everybody had to be portrayed with big breasts no matter their size. So I would really like to see body portrayal correctly. Don't be ashamed of drawing small boobs. I don't think women should be shamed for having small boobs either, unless
Mm-hmm.
they're pulling the temper tantrums they are right now because they have them.
Well,
They
right
they
now there's
shouldn't.
no shaming going on for that.
Yeah, it just, I don't think any woman should be shamed for her breast size, big or small. And that's what I want to see more of is accurate portrayal. None of this like now all of a sudden all women in comic books are flat chested. Carl Manvers, because that's what she looks like now. Um, so yeah, it would just be accuracy for me. That's really it. Because like I said, I like to look at them and I don't really
Mm-hmm.
have a problem with them. So just accuracy, honestly. I mean, it's fun to do a little fan service, don't get me wrong, but it can't all be fan service, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, then, out of curiosity, you've read both of my Arkham books, right?
Yes.
Okay, I really tried to do that. I did not want one type of woman, especially, noir. You've got the femme fatale, right? You've
Yeah.
got the noir is one of the best genres for various female archetypes. Everyone thinks that noir just has the femme fatale, but no, there's a whole range of different types of characters. The femme fatale, the Girl Friday, the vamp, the good girl, the starlet. There are so many different, and I really wanted to do an array of different types of beauty or women. And so, how did I do on that?
I thought you did very well.
Okay, good.
The artist that you hired portrayed what you wanted very well. I felt like everybody walked out of a 1940s, 1950s noir film by
Good.
far. In fact, I need to go back and read those again. I enjoyed those very, very much. I need to go back and read all your books. I love your books. I'm like, I've got all of them, I think.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, you need to mark more. Get on that shit. I'm waiting.
I need a new artist. It's that simple. I want to do more Arkham. I need a new artist. It's that simple.
It's
Although, right? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say it's so sad that it's the way that artists have been getting jobs today is basically, really shitty art off Tumblr. So it's like nobody's trying anymore because they think
Yeah.
that's the norm. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, I came across several great artists who either were flaky or just weren't up to the task. I mean, there's one I will not name because I'm just guessing he had stage fright or something, but it was really frustrating as the longer I worked with him, the worse his art got. And then I finally just let him go. He got hired by somebody else and does awesome art for different projects now. I was like, you bastard.
oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And then, a lot of flaky artists, unfortunately. But yeah, I lost the artist from Case File Arkham due to TDS, unfortunately. So that's kind of a different case. But yeah, if I can get an artist who could do that kind of stuff, I would definitely go back to Arkham.
You're making me regret giving up doing art like 20 years ago because I wanted to be a comic book artist. But like life basically just happened. So I
Yeah.
kind of just stopped drawing. And now I'm like, dude, I could have kept drawing and eventually I could have drawn for Ishi. Oh, well.
Well, it's kind of, once that kid enters the picture, apparently it's very, very difficult.
It is, but I mean, I know for some people it's not their jam. I never try to push parenthood on anybody. For me, I've enjoyed it. Like one of the things I like is I got to play with toys again, like Legos and stuff. I think I got more excited to go to the Lego store than my kid would. I'd always be like, let's go to Lego store, Fashion Valley, and buy like, $80 models. And then I'd be sitting down for like, 6 hours building them. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Being an awesome mom, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, actually, I've most of the time I eventually just give him all my sets, and he takes them apart and he builds tanks and airplanes and stuff with them.
Cool. Okay, William Sova's got a question for you.
Fuck yes, that would be awesome. You know what? It wouldn't even be me using them. My husband would be directing me and shooting them. And I'm not kidding. Like that would be his dream, I bet.
It's kind of a literal interpretation how I'm always calling cats tatas her H-bombs.
I love that. That is good. I should tell my husband to start calling mine Zarbomba.
Zarbomba. Wow, that's pretty impressive. The Zarbomba.
Well, I
And
don't
for
know
those
if
of you who are not aware, that means King Bomb, and is a reference to the largest nuke ever dropped. So you were going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't think mine are as big as a Zarbomba class, but it would stroke my ego and make me feel better. So, H-bombs. Oh, God, that's awesome. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was kind of like, she'd been a G cup for a very long time. And then she edged into the H, and I'm like, I can finally use this joke.
My husband just said to me I should take my Zarbombas to the Bikini Atoll. He's listening.
Oh, God, that is a great turn of phrase. That is great. The Bikini, yeah. Well, for those of you who know anything about the Cold War, you're loving this discussion. So it's the kind of humor that could show up in World War Kaiju. Let's see. Okay, Lucifer Love Monkey, who has a great name. Are we talking about boob missiles like Transor Z? Yeah, Athena 1, right? Or no, that's even better. Let's see. Bresto Bimo from Cutie Honey.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I've only seen a bit of Cutie Honey. I always remember the diamond chick that had diamonds and strategically placed. Yeah.
Yeah, the one I saw, they called it Bresto Flash. Yeah. Okay. I guess continuing on the questions, what would you want to see less of in current portrayals?
Well, since I like them so much, I don't want to see less of. If I wanted to say I wanted to see less of, it's more I'm tired of like the Cardi B culture, I guess. Less of that because, but I mean, that means everything. Honestly, I don't want to see less of breasts. One thing I liked about Game of Thrones, and I know people are going to laugh at me or think I'm weird, I liked the nudity because I was like, oh, wow, this person has a beautiful body, male and female, which I know a lot of people didn't like. But like the first thing that I'd be drawn to was the women's breasts. And it would remind me of when I was in art school and learning to draw from nude models. Like I always loved that shit. So, I mean, it would more be a cultural thing than
Yeah, just
that's what
the
I'd want to
attitude
change.
towards them. I mean, because I'm not a fan of the fact that right now it's like, look, being a whore is in. That's great.
Like
Not just a whore, a greedy whore.
there is a fine line between like sexy to whorish, and we crossed that like miles ago.
Yeah.
And it needs to really be pulled back. Uh, so yeah, I really don't want to see less of them. I would like to see the culture that they're portrayed in change.
I would agree. I would thoroughly agree. That was one of the reasons this book came about, was that Kat's rant that usually if there was a busty character, she was either a bitch, bubblehead, or slut.
Yeah, seriously. And you know what does need to come back? Bodices. Bodices need to come back. And corsets.
Both are lovely things.
Yes.
Well, a lot of men are wearing corsets now.
I had a friend who was goth that wore corsets when we were in high school. I don't know if that counts.
Okay, for a novelist writing a busty character, what advice would you give them?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I don't know. And it's not, how do I want to say this? You can give all the advice that you want, in my opinion, to a writer, but a lot of times, like, I think a lot of them will just go with what they want to because that's what's in their head. I know that you actually like to do the research, so you'll listen. But
Yeah.
a lot of writers that I have met or that I've read interviews with, like they've already made up their mind. I don't know how many writers actually do their research. The only times I've really seen it is guys that write military novels or guys that actually write hard science fiction, like the guys that write the Expanse series, who actually talk to the people at NASA and actually do their research. But when it comes to actually writing women and their breasts, like they've already made up their minds, I think. So I mean, I could give them all the advice, and basically what I would just say is write it realistically. Like don't write it like you're writing a Rob Liefeld character. Write it like you'd be seeing a woman at the beach in a bikini. Write it like that. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now, if they actually listen, like I said.
Well, that's one of the points of this book is to answer all the questions they can't ask themselves or might get hit if they ask.
Yeah. Oh,
But
Mullet
yeah, yeah.
Mullet Turtle says, "What do you say to those that think big boobs in art is objectifying women?" I say that they need to go fuck themselves. That's my, yeah, objectifying my ass. I'm sorry. It just it bugs me. So, objectifying women, yeah, it's okay for big muscly men to be greased up and put in Calvin Klein pictures, and that's not objectifying men. Are you kidding me? Wearing like 2 sizes too small underwear that like shows all their kibble and bits. I'm sorry.
Well, you see, it's okay to cater to women's sexuality.
Yeah.
um, okay, let's see. Marv Alice has a weird comment. I suddenly have a scene in my head of a lovely but matronly samurai lady being strapped in magic armor by her servants. It's a great idea for a fantasy Asian setting.
I
Okay.
actually like that. That actually sounds kind of cool.
And let's see. Cesario asks, the fembots from Austin Powers and Agent 0091 and from 0091 have guns in their boobs. How feasible is it? The idea. What calibers would be common? The relative cup size to the ammo capacity. Uh, do you really want me to answer that? No, we'll let you go first, Ginell.
I I don't know much about guns, sadly. So I couldn't answer it. I'm gonna have to pass this one on to you.
Okay. Realistically speaking, the thing with both of those series is one, they were both either full cyborgs or robots. Okay. Second, usually a shell casing gets popped out, and neither did that. So this would have to be caseless ammunition. And just knowing that, the shorter the barrel, the less accurate the gun is, you'd probably need a pretty busty woman and a low caliber, probably, 9 millimeter or smaller. I mean, most believable would be a 22 long. How about that? I mean, there you go. I gave you an honest answer.
Do you know what I just thought of after you're talking about that? Is like a woman taking off her shirt and prepping her boob guns and like screwing a barrel or like a silencer to her nipple, and then like she's got cybernetics, and so like she has a HUD display come up and she's like kind of holding her breast trying to aim, and yeah. I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry.
I think that it was the Japanese who did actually invent a breast implant that could hold a battery or an MP3 player that you could plug in.
Wow, I'm surprised Naomi Wu didn't come up with something like that.
There, yeah, actually, I am too. I do mention her in the book, by the way.
She's not ashamed of her breasts, and she's
No.
not ashamed that she got plastic surgery for them. And I'm like, way to own it.
Yeah. Marv Alice says sexuality is a female power fantasy. The idea that women don't like being seen as desirable is nonsense.
I wholeheartedly agree. Like, I don't know why women are like, oh, I don't want to be seen as desirable. Get the fuck out of here with that. Oh my gosh, you have no idea how much I peacocked to try and get Steve's attention because he couldn't pick up on the hints that I was dropping. So yeah.
The thing that gets me, and this really bothers me that our culture's become this, is, yeah, it did get me in trouble a bit in the 90s, but I had a point of view, which is that a man should be able to tell a woman she is beautiful with no strings attached. And that was kind of a point of view or a ethos I lived by until, probably 2012, when it would probably get you thrown out of a building, or you're banned from a convention. And I really think that we should be able to live in a world in which a man can tell a woman with no strings attached that she's attractive. And I think for that matter, every woman wants to be told she's attractive.
I loved when I was younger being told I was attractive. Even I was a very shy person when I was younger. I know it doesn't seem like I was, but I was. And I liked it. And I mean, I would turn the shade of a tomato if somebody told me that I was attractive or they thought I was cute. Like I liked the attention because it was telling me, "Hey, you're pretty. People like you. Guys want to go out with
You
you."
probably got that quite a bit then, didn't you?
Uh yes and no. Like I think when I opened my mouth and all my geek knowledge would come tumbling out, there would be like a hard backup.
What, you mean that you didn't have the geek guys suddenly going, "Oh my god, she's
Oh
my
no,
dream girl."
the geek guys always came after me, but I had also known these geek guys for a long time. I'd be like, "No, no, no, dude,
I know too
not."
much about you. Never mind.
Yeah, I know too much about you, and I know sometimes you don't bathe for a week because you're too busy playing on your computer. I am not dealing with a boyfriend that will forget to bathe, so you know he can play Daggerfall or Morrowind.
So you actually had the friends that would like pretty much have the what, the colostomy bag, or the what is it, the colostomy bag and the bucket next to their computer, along with a little cooler and a water supply,
Not
so that
that
they wouldn't
far.
have to leave EverQuest.
Not that far, thank God. Not that far. It was more. They would play D&D for like 72 hours. I could never do those runs where they would play 72 hours nonstop, where they were just living off Coca-Cola and whatever sugar they could get their hands on.
Uh,
So, like, you know, I would come
yeah.
over to visit and like open the door, and it would just be man funk coming out after like a 72-hour session. It's just like, fuck no, I'm gonna hang outside here till you guys shower, and then we can go somewhere.
So at the end of the day, you were still female. You
Very
weren't
much
going to
so.
accept that smell.
I mean, like it was the 90s, so females could, I mean, I thought it was cool, in the 90s, females, it was cool to like sexy to dress like a tomboy. So I was happy. Like I wore jeans and polo shirts, but I
I
still
do
wore
miss
makeup
that.
and jewelry too.
Yeah, yeah. It was actually, yeah, there was a phase in the 90s or through the 90s where that was okay. Nobody cared. And it wasn't some sort of statement, it just was a style.
Oh, Aloise, I know exactly what you're talking about. The scene in High School of the Dead where when she's dodging the bullets, like her boobs are flopping and the bullet goes through and like barely misses. That scene's famous. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Have you seen High School of the Dead? Is she?
I've only seen that one scene because so many of the listeners have sent it to me.
Actually, I kind of enjoyed the manga. I read a little bit of it and it wasn't too bad. It was kind of fun.
I'll have to check that out. I mean, people keep recommending the series anyway. Evie writes, "These women who complain about compliments are the ones who always get them or never get them and are bitter about it. So one gets them and are just vapid, and the other and usually ungrateful."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Harble writes about gamers, no poop socking allowed. Okay. Let's see. What myths about big boobs does the media perpetuate worst?
Uh, Honestly, like today, that having big boobs makes you automatically a whore or a slut or that you're not feminist enough. Um, Other things like back in the day, I would say like it doesn't really matter what your bra type is or your bra size, one size fits all. Because that actually, like for me, it would cause a problem if I couldn't find a bra in my size because I mean, it cuts off circulation if they're too small and it's uncomfortable and your breasts will spill out of the cups. And that's kind of embarrassing. But for today, it's just the automatic, oh, if you have big boobs, then you're not a feminist and you're obviously a whore and a slut and you're perpetuating patriarchy and you're giving into the fetishization of the male power trip with your breasts and Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's
I
just
don't
the
know. I would,
shaming that
yeah, the shaming,
the media just it shames women uh
and it's women
for
doing it.
yeah, that's what's really disgusting. And it's women who are doing it that have had either they're the troglodytes that you see running around with Antifa, or it's the women that you see that have like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of plastic surgery, basically celebrities. It's either celebrities who say all this, but at the same time, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep those boobs perky and to keep looking good. Or you have the troglodytes in Antifa who don't shave their armpits and don't bathe and have the mental illness haircut that are screaming while picking their meth sores.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting that, the more and more we saw of Antifa, yeah, these are really ugly people. I mean, it's kind of a rude or crude thing to say, or a kind of a rough thing to say, but these weren't just like people who were, average or a little unattractive. No, these people were really unattractive. And one thing that got me as more and more mugshots came out was I started to realize how many of them had one eye significantly higher than the other.
I need to go back and look at those pictures
It
because
was bizarre.
everything I always saw was I could see the scabs from drug usage and not
Yeah.
bathing, and they all had the same haircut, and they were all wearing the same horn-rimmed glasses and had the same piercings. I mean, they could have been clones.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the ones that got arrested for violence. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, were you at all impacted by Jessica Rabbit as a child? And if not, was there any other character?
Before I answer that, I just want to answer Evie's question. No, nobody's ever assumed that mine are fake. They look pretty damn natural, especially now that I've had a kid. I loved Jessica Rabbit as a kid. Because of her big boobs and her sparkly dress. I remember going to see Who Framed Roger Rabbit with my dad, and he was just loving Jessica Rabbit, and I was loving Jessica Rabbit. And the fact that she could hide shit in her boobs and pull it out and use it like it was her bag of holding was so awesome.
That's kind of accurate, actually.
Yeah. And I also like the fact that here's this big, busty, sexy woman, and she's married to the biggest dork in Hollywood. And I'm like, that is every man's dream. And that is awesome because she wasn't looking at his looks. She liked his humor. She liked him for him. It's what every guy wanted. That's why the character's so awesome.
And despite everything you thought about her, she was actually heroic.
Yes, she was. They did a really good job with making her the femme fatale, and you think that she's betrayed her husband, but you really find out that she actually cares and she'll do anything to save her husband, anything, and that's what made her so cool.
And that actually, for as much of that film being a parody of noir films, it's amazing how many tropes they got right. As someone who is somewhat of an amateur expert on the subject now, it is amazing how many boomers saw, Maltese Falcon and parodies of the Maltese Falcon and thought that was all noir, and didn't realize that Jessica Rabbit actually is one of the archetypes, the heroic femme fatale that is morally gray and you really can't trust her, but she's not a villain. She's actually doing it for reasons beyond, just usually it's self-sacrifice or trying to do something heroic.
Yeah.
And also I found out recently that Robert Zemeckis wanted to do another Roger Rabbit, but the current regime at Disney will not even touch the property because they hate Jessica Rabbit so much.
Why? She's one of the most popular characters from that movie. She's beloved. And not only that, I mean, Kathleen Turner and that I Want Sex voice that she gave her was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, stories have varied, but the one I recall when the movie came out was the animator said she was supposed to be a hybrid of all the Hollywood bombshells. that she had Rita Hayworth's hair color and dress, that she had Veronica Lake's haircut, that she had the waistline and hips of Jay Mansfeld and the breasts of Mae West. And I think there were a few others, but you see it. I see
Yeah.
it. Oh, and then
Well,
Red Hot Riding Hood.
yeah, the James Mansfield sticks out for me because of that legendary picture of her breasts almost coming out of her
Yeah.
dress, and Sophia Loren looking at him like, "Oh, dude, are they coming out or what?"
Yeah, looking kind of intimidated.
Yeah, like, "Oh shit."
That is an incredible photo.
I love that photo. I think it's great. Not only that, I really love Sophia Loren. So that one, I really do like that photo. But yeah, it's like those puppies are barely struggling to stay in. They want to come out. And she knew it too. Did you know that she purposely wore that dress to garner attention because her star was kind of fading in Hollywood, and she was trying to get the producers and the directors to notice her so she could get another film that was more high up on the ladder?
Well, she
And
definitely knew how to draw attention.
oh yeah, she did. She was good at her own publicity. Like, I mean, not sometimes it was to her detriment, but still she knew what to do.
Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to look into that story. Maybe I can quote it. Okay, so now for real life questions. Are there
Okay.
benefits to being busty?
Hell yeah. You want me to tell you a benefit story? Everybody, pull up your chairs. So I went and saw the band Tool in 1998. And my ex-boyfriend had gotten me the tickets at the time to him because we were still together. And when we broke up, he said, "I'm not going to be a dick and take your tickets." So we all went. And then my ex and his friends decide that they're going to sneak into the backstage rooms to try and meet Maynard. And me and my friend Rachel were waiting outside, and these two guys come up to us and they're like, "Do you guys want these?" And I didn't see what they had, and I thought they were just trying to hit on us. And I was like, "Get the fuck out of here." My friend Rachel was like, "No, no, 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 we'll take them. We'll take them." And it turned out to be VIP passes. Well, I guess my rack drew them to these guys to come to us, and we got VIP passes, and I got to go backstage and meet Maynard.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that is a benefit.
So yeah, I got to meet Maynard. He actually is much smaller than me. I'm 5'9", and I'm going to say he was probably 5'6". It was really weird to see him shorter than me. Really cool guy, but there was like a ton of fans around him. He was trying to sign a bunch of stuff. So I just, had him sign my ticket and my backstage pass that I got, and grabbed a soda and went outside to the parking lot to meet up with my ex and his friends. And they were very pissed that I got in and they didn't. I was like,
Well,
"Hey."
you had attention getters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Any other?
exactly what it was.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is a story. And, I wasn't ashamed. I was like, "Oh shit, like that really works." I didn't think that really worked. I was 19 years old. So most of the guys that hit on me were other like 18 and 19-year-olds that, I'm just like, "Oh, they're hitting on me because they're hormonal, whatever." Like I said, I like the attention, but you're hitting on me. No, that was the first time that my breasts actually got me something pretty awesome. So yeah, that's my best story.
Superpowers.
Yeah. Um, I really didn't like I started dating my husband when I was 21. So, and I've been with him ever since then, and I'm 41 now. So I was with him for most of the times that, guys would hit on you and stuff. So I never really got hit on for that. I got looks though, and I know that kind of pissed him off sometimes when he'd see guys ogling me. But yeah, the Tool story is my best one.
Okay, so actually, let's go into that. Guys ogling you.
Mhm.
How common is that?
Not anymore, because I have gained a lot of weight since then. My own fault, stress eating. But before that, when I was in my 20s, I would get looks, and the way I knew I got looks is when I'd be walking down the street with Steve, and he would be glaring. So there was ogling going on.
So
I
you
know there
didn't
was,
really notice it for the most part. He did.
yeah. When we would go to Vegas, there would be a couple of drunk guys that would try to hit on me and my friends, but like our boyfriends would be there. And so then the boyfriends would come up and be like, "Get the fuck out of here, dude. They're taken." So, but yeah, like if guys would be flirty with me, Steve would be pissed, and rightfully so. And you know what? Hey, I was happy that he was territorial over me. I'm like, I couldn't ask for a better man who was like, nah, mine. It'd be like he, figuratively would be licking my cheek and say, see, she's mine.
What's interesting is actually most of the people I've interviewed have all said that they're usually not the one to notice.
No.
Usually it's the guy with them that notices.
You know what? I will say that when I was still in high school and I would be out with my mom and dad, if my dad saw a guy ogling me, like, dude, the veins would pop out. And he'd kind of stand protectively, and my mom and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "That guy's looking at Ginell." Like, "Oh shit, okay." So we just move on. So my dad would be protective of it too.
That's what dads are supposed to do.
Actually, I do have another story boob story that was told to me by my dad about me. I think you guys will appreciate this one too. So when I was in high school, I was on the swim team. And when we were on the swim team, our uniforms were literally 2 sizes smaller than our body size because we had to basically streamline in the water. It'd be like wearing a second skin to shave off seconds. But it also accentuated us. Well, my dad being a high school teacher, his high school would compete against my high school. And so the boys on the team saw me in the swimsuit, and the next day in the locker room, I guess they were talking about Coach Miller's daughter having the biggest tits they'd ever seen and how super fucking hot she was as my dad walked into the locker room. And I guess the guy turned white and almost pissed his pants.
Is your dad particularly threatening?
Yes, he was. My dad passed in 2008, but he was an ex-pro NFL football player, ex-collegiate football player, worked for the NFL as an official. He was also a football coach and an athletic director. And he lifted weights and worked out until about his mid-40s when his shoulder blew out for the second time. He was a center, so his shoulder, you have to hit with your shoulders. So he had to have 2 shoulder operations. So he was a big dude. Like, guys would come over to take me out on dates and then never come back. Except Steve. Steve always came back. But yeah, he was a very intimidating man. Cool man, don't get me wrong. Like, once you got to know him. But I mean, when this went down, my dad was the head football coach at that school as well as the athletic director and also a teacher. So he taught PE some of the classes, and so he was in there and he overheard them talking about it. And so he scared the shit out of these boys, but he came home laughing his ass off telling me the story about. And my mom was in hysterics, like tears coming down her eyes. And I'm just imagining this poor high schooler who was like pissing his pants because my dad is like, "What the fuck do you say about my daughter?"
Please don't kill me, sir. Please.
So yeah, there's another story that was told to me by my dad.
Wow. That's like straight out of a John Hughes movie.
Yes. Yes.
Did you see her rack? Oh shit. Did you inherit it from your mom?
Yes. The women on my mom's side of the family, very big breasted. In fact, I was bigger than my great grandmother, my grandmother, and my mom. It seems to go up in size generation.
Then was your dad just as protective about your mother?
Don't
look at my woman.
Yes and no. It was more that my mom could hold her own. My mom didn't take shit from anyone. Like if you pissed her off, she'd just flat off tell you. that, like, shut the fuck up, stop talking to me. Like, so my dad didn't really have to worry about it. In fact, one thing that I appreciate about both my parents is they would point out hot guys and hot chicks. And like my mom would be like, "Oh, hey, Chris, I know you want to bang her." We named Chris after my dad.
Uh,
And so my dad's name was also Chris. And, my
I was
dad'd
gonna
be
say that
like,
would be a little bit inappropriate for a child.
no, yeah, no, I realized that. Like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, my dad wanted grandkids, but he passed before we had Chris.
Mm.
So we named him in his honor. And then, my dad would see hot guys and be like, "Hey, Patty, I know you want that." And so, yeah, they were very unorthodox. My parents were incredibly unorthodox.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with Cat. I don't have to really worry about. I'm the one that usually notices if the cars slow down or if someone's looking, but I don't know. It's the same thing. She can handle her own. We just find it funny. It doesn't really bother us. Um, every once in a while, a guy will hit on her, and it's like, you can try. You can definitely try. But the last time was at a bookstore, and I kind of felt bad for the guy. Is, wow, that's a really neat mask you're wearing. People are wearing masks. Does that have to do with the band Rammstein? Oh no, it's a mask that my husband designed for me.
Oh man, did that guy turn sheet white and run?
He did look really uncomfortable at that point. Is, oh well, I did want to say it's really cool.
Oh man,
But
that's a
yeah,
good story.
again, like I said, she can handle herself. You've probably heard the story about how she nearly got in a fight with a guy twice her size at a convention because he went
Oh,
through a cash box. So
the guy
yeah,
that she was going to choke out?
uh,
Is that she jumped over the table and went
yeah,
after him?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that story.
So yeah, it's not really something I worry about. Of course, she's also about an inch taller than me, but but yeah, I can understand how a father would be protective. I'd be the same way. I would definitely be the same way, especially if I was a high school teacher and knowing how thoroughly perverted high school boys are.
Oh, my dad totally knew. I told you guys, I think the chatters heard the stories that my dad came home with the horror stories about the girls getting VDs or pregnant in school. So I stayed a virgin till I met my husband because I was so scared. The stories. It's like, oh my God. It's like that South Park episode where they teach sex ed to the elementary school kids and then the kids go to war because they're so
Yeah.
afraid of each other. It was like that. So, like, no way in hell that I am going to have sex with any man because all they are carrier of diseases and they beget children upon you. No.
I will have to admit, the 90s for me, I know I passed up a lot of opportunities or didn't take it any further than petting and touching for the sheer fear of AIDS in children. That paranoia was always hanging over our heads during the 90s.
It really was. Like, I mean, I'm very thankful that my parents drilled into my head condoms, 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 condoms. Like, always. My dad said, like, if I ever, if I was going to make sure it's wrapped up, if it's not, just, leave, call us, we'll come pick you up. We might be mad that you were screwing around, but at least, you're not having unsafe sex.
Yeah.
Because yeah, that HIV AIDS thing in the late 80s through the 90s, that was scary shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a conversation for another time because that's a bummer conversation.
Oh yeah.
That's like a dark road to go down.
I think, and I've talked to plenty of other Gen Xers that said, I probably would have had a lot more fun as a teenager if it weren't for that. So, you said boob stories. Well, you have one other, and it's you got your husband.
Yes. Like I said, my husband, who he admits, is very clueless on things. But one thing he did notice from the start was that I had huge tits. And like I said, I think I've told the story before. His friends told me later, like, one reason he liked me is, quote, "You have big old hooties." And he loves them. I can tell you that right now. He loves them. They get touched at least once a day. Which
Only
I don't mind.
once?
What? Oh, at
Only once?
least.
At
At
least.
least. Oh yeah. Um, yeah, they're endless hours of entertainment for him. Am I making you blush, darling? He's not listening. I was making sure. He's tuned out.
Ah,
Um, yeah, I don't want to embarrass him too far, but yes, they are a great enjoyment for him. He likes it when I wear push-up bras because you can get more seeing. Uh, what else? But he doesn't like other people looking at them. And if anybody ever tried to attempt to touch them, they'd probably lose their hand either from me, and if not me, him.
see, and this is the kind of honesty again that I don't think most writers are able to, get. I mean, how often do you know someone that you're going to be able to go up and talk to them about this stuff, which
Well,
is
that
again a necessity for the book.
I don't like I think a lot of it has come from the shaming that has happened within the last decade. Like we shouldn't be ashamed. I mean, if you're being like Cardi B, then yeah, you need to be ashamed. But just having them, people act like, we've got tumors hanging off our chests. Like we've got cancerous spores that are spreading disease and are going to, make men into slathering rapists if they just look at them. And it's not, it shouldn't be like that.
I do miss the openness of the 80s and 90s. I mean, at the time, even the 90s, we thought people were being uptight with the PC stuff.
Oh
No,
yeah, I
not
can
even
remember
close.
that.
I mean,
Like I
you
thought,
could tell a woman that she had nice tits in the 90s and it was okay.
dude, they would probably thank you and be like, yeah, I know. There was confidence.
Yeah. And I do know that in the 90s that the media was again trying to push that flat-chested thing. It just didn't take off.
Yeah, that's when they were going for that heroin chic look when all the fashion industry decided that they wanted their models to be skeletons to make the clothes hang off. That's what I think started that whole like no breast phase.
And who was the model all the men liked? Anna
Cindy
Nicole
Crawford.
Smith.
Oh, Anna Nicole Smith. I was going to say Cindy Crawford, Naomi. What's her name?
What? No,
Uh,
well, in high school, as a guy, we didn't care about any of the models except Anna Nicole Smith
dude, that woman,
in her
that woman had
prime.
a beautifully natural large rack. No wonder she was able to score that geriatric billionaire. I mean, dude.
Okay, another question. Do men only talk to your boobs, or is that really an exaggeration?
I've had a couple of guys talk to my boobs, but they were shit faced.
Drunk. Okay.
Yeah. Because I actually, here's another one. We were having a party at the apartment complex that we lived at. Steve and I used to live by SDSU. So we had, our roommate had a lot of parties. And one of his friends was really drunk and he was talking to me, but he was talking to my breast. This is one of those times that Steve was standing next to me and he had like laser shooting out of his eyes. And the guy flat out said in front of Steve and I that I had fantastic tits and that he wants to fuck me right now. And we had to leave because that was one of the few times I had seen Steve's a very mellow dude, but this was like the first time I'd seen Steve go from mellow to I'm going to rip your fucking head off. So
Fantastic tits. Okay. Anything after that, yeah, that's overboard.
yeah, like right. And he knew Steve was my boyfriend. And he even said, I'm sorry, dude, but I want to fuck her. And like I was just like, we're leaving. We're gone. Like, no.
Oh, that is an ultimate bro moment. Jeez.
Yeah, dude.
Dude, I know she's your girl and stuff, but like she's got fantastic tits and I'd fuck her right now. I'm just saying, right?
Yeah, that was not cool. That was one of the few times where I was just like, why are you being like, who are these douchebags? Don't bother me about my tits. They're taken. Uh, but yeah, I've only ever had it when guys are drunk. So, go to a bar or when I used to go to bars or clubs, they would come up stumbling up and they would be talking to my tits and not me. And it was just like, eye roll, like pat on the head. Okay. I think maybe you've had too much. Leave me alone. But never sober. That's really because the media perpetuates that oh, if you have big boobs, guys are only going to talk to your chest. No, guys make eye contact.
Yeah.
That's what? That's a myth. That is a myth. The whole talking to your boobs, or I should say, it's a myth when guys are sober. When they're drunk, I think it's a different story.
Yeah, the only two cases I can really think of where women have said that it really happens is if the guy's drunk or if they're a teenager.
Yeah.
If they're an adolescent boy, usually in the anywhere from 13 to 16 range, especially.
Yeah, actually, you're right. I think 13-year-old boys, yes.
It's like, but I was one of those boys, and it's like, you can't pull your eyes away. They're there. I cannot think straight.
Well, it's really bad if she's taller than you and they hit right at eye level. What are you supposed to do?
And I'm about 5'6", so yeah, any tall woman, yeah, right there.
Yeah.
So Elton says the USA has always had issues with breasts, first in media like games, but now everywhere. And yeah, I agree that it's gotten particularly bad. I don't know. I would say in the 40s and 50s, it definitely was not the same. There was an issue, but it was about modesty back then. It wasn't about breasts per se. And it was how you presented yourself. It wasn't the breasts themselves. Busty was actually smiled upon. But then those were eras in which men were kind of deciding the beauty standard, And it's interesting that back then, looking like a whore wasn't popular. Actually, the thing was to look classy. And also, Elton, since you're in the feed, I saw this picture and I thought of you.
Oh, damn.
I don't know where this came from, but this came across my feed on Minds. I'm like, that looks like something Elton would be into.
Oh my God, I love those legs. I got a thing about quads too. Muscly quads, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Wolf. Ginell's right. It's a myth. I only quick glance up to update my visuals. Yeah, guys typically will only look when they think she isn't looking. I think that's polite enough, right?
Yeah. I'm one of those people that I've actually been caught by other women staring at their boobs, and they're just like, "What the hell?" Because I will stare. Like if they're really cool, I'm just like, "Oh yeah." But most of the time, yeah, you just take a quick clock. You look around, and then you're good to go.
Enjoy and admire the scenery.
Yeah.
One of the things I write in the book is I do mention that often the worst perpetrators of staring are other women. And I bring up the story of Naomi Wu, who we mentioned earlier, who was this little 5 foot tall Chinese woman with gigantic boobs. She doesn't even know what her cup size is anymore because she got them so big.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah. She had created these head-mounted glass camera glasses, right? So that she could wear them and anything she looked at was being filmed. And she went to some event with a bunch of other makers and she was letting other people try out the glasses, and they're on record. And when she handed them over to women, the eyes immediately always went right to her rack. Always.
Oh, I would proudly do that. I am fascinated by her boobs. I think my favorite video of hers is when she made her silicone breast implants glow. The cyberpunk.
That was clever.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised.
She says that she actually does not have much of an issue with harassment in China, that by and large, apparently most of the Chinese men are intimidated by her.
I'm not surprised. She's supremely confident. Like you can see it when she walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently the attraction where she lives, at least in the Shenzhen area, is they want girls that look more girlish and adolescent, more more naive or innocent.
Yeah, she doesn't
So
come off like that.
no, she doesn't come off as innocent at all.
She really knows how to attract the toms though. Like you see the pictures of all the different toms that she has all around. Like she's got one for each country. I can appreciate that.
Okay, here's one. Have you ever experienced boob envy?
Yes. I don't know how many women or girls that I was friends with that were envious. I wish I had your rack, Ginell. It's not fair. I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, you've got the metabolism that I've always wanted. I can't eat junk food and you can eat as much junk food as you want. So it's a great trade off. But yeah, I would be told by friends that, they were jealous that I had huge tits and it wasn't fair.
But nothing negative then, just kind of friendly. "Oh, I wish I had your tits."
I wish I had, yeah, it would just be, I wish I had your tits. And then if they were drunk, they would just grope them. And I had the only time I had problems with groping that like it would earn you a shove is if you were a drunk guy and I didn't know you. But I mean,
Ah,
even my male friends, if they were drunk and they would grope, I was just like, I know you're drunk and you wouldn't do it if you were sober. So like shove you away. But yeah, uh,
well,
no
maybe.
jealousy.
What?
I was gonna say not much jealousy. I wouldn't say jealousy. Just yeah, a little bit of envy, especially when
Mhm.
they were drunk and they would tell me, "I want your breasts. They're so big."
The thing I recall too about maybe this just had to do with the industrial punk goth scene. Um, Women were far less uptight about if you saw them, and if you were close enough, they didn't even mind if you touched them. But that might have just been alt culture at the time.
Like I said, I didn't mind if I was touched if it was somebody I knew. If I didn't know you, especially if you were a dude, we had an issue. And back then I didn't have as much confidence as I do now,
Mm.
so it was more like I would shrink into myself and just back away.
Oh, that kind of
Um,
sucks.
yeah, honestly, I didn't have much of a self-esteem till I met Steve, and he's like, "Dude, no, like, be confident." And now it's like, if you're gonna try and touch me, don't even. I will hurt you.
The thing
But
with Kat is she spent most of her youth buried underneath a very long haircut and a trench coat. So really, she didn't come out of her shell until her late 20s, early 30s is when she really found herself. And so she really didn't experience much in the way of breast envy until her 30s. And by and large, the vast majority of it came from store clerks, usually lingerie, like
mhm.
Victoria's Secrets or Fredericks, really, really rude clerks. Or we'd be out in public and you would always get the dirty looks from that girl, that one would just look down and sneer.
I got to say something about Victoria's Secret clerks. They are bitches. I remember one time I went into Victoria's Secret I got my paycheck. I wanted to get some sexy lingerie to show off to Steve, and I got sexy lingerie, and the woman at the counter said, "I don't think these are good for your size. You're too big." And I was like, okay, great. I'm buying them anyway because they're not meant to cover up. I'm not buying them to cover up. But it was the first time I'd ever had anybody do that to me where it was like, you shouldn't be wearing that because you're too big. And it was the absolute snobbery in it and jealousy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I remember when Kat, before she'd, we met young, which was we've got kind of a weird age differential. There's like 8 years between us. So she was still growing when I met her. And before she was a H cup, I remember once, I was again helping her kind of break out of her shell and become confident. And we went to a Victoria's Secret, um, and she wanted to get a bombshell bra, right? And at that point, she was a double F, and the clerk says, "Why would you need a bombshell bra?" She says, "Because I want one." Well, with your size, it was like the same thing. It's like,
Oh my God.
None of your fucking business.
Why would they do that? I mean, you're buying their product, just like grin and be like, sweet, you're buying an expensive bra that, you wouldn't be wearing out most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it does seem store clerks are among the worst when it comes to envy. And then again, yeah, just every once in a while you're out in public and there'll be that one woman who, does the look down and sneer thing.
Ugh.
So
So you said she's an H? She puts
yeah.
me to shame. I'm a 44 double D. Like, wow, I need to worship at her altar because damn.
Well, uh, I do, I don't know if this is quite appropriate to dive into. I kind of wonder if you really are a 44 then. Because you know that the vast majority of women who are in the D double D are wearing the wrong size.
I wouldn't be surprised. These days, I wear mostly sports bras
Yeah,
because,
see?
yeah, I wear them because if I'm not working out, it's just easier to put one on and then do chores. So I wear mostly sports bras these days.
Well, just, from this book writing and the background, I'm just going to say go on a limb here. And from the two times we hung out, I would have to guess that a number of those inches in the 44 are compensating for the cup not being big enough. That's just me though. That's just my outsider opinion.
I wouldn't be surprised, but like I said, I don't know if my breasts are exactly the same. Like after having a kid,
Mm-hmm.
they sag, and that's one reason I like to wear the sports bras, because they kind of hold everything up.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if I had a change. I've always bought that kind of bra.
Well,
Uh,
again, just knowing your build and knowing I really need to share these chapters with you. I'll send some of them to you tonight to send them your way tonight. I
okay.
actually write a story in there, recount a story about why I know so much about sizing, and it specifically goes back to a time where Kat literally put a hole in the closet door. She was so frustrated with bra shopping
Oh, I've
uh,
been there.
that she had one really awful experience at Frederick's, and just she had enough. And I decided, okay, screw it, I'm going to solve this. I didn't tell her, I didn't say it, I just said, you know what, screw it, I'll figure this out, I'll fix this so that this is not a problem. And I thought it was going to be just an issue of reading up on sizing and doing some math. I was so wrong. It has nothing to do with math. Bra sizing's insane. It makes no goddamn sense.
Well, what sucks is back, I want to say like the 40s, 50s, or even before that, you used to be able to go get your bra special made because that's how my mom had her bra special made, and she also had her bikini top special made. And there was a store actually in Ocean Beach that would do that. And that used to be, there was easier access to that. But then when like big box stores started
Yeah.
getting, department stores and stuff started really hitting stride, those stores disappeared. So it's a lot of one size fits all. And it's really hard to find anybody who will make bras anymore specialty. Like I feel sorry for women that are asymmetrical, that they have one breast that's bigger than another, because it's impossible anymore to find a bra that can work for you
Ouch.
in that capacity. I had a friend in high school who had that, and she was lucky that still in the 90s there were places that would special make bras for her, where they would make the bras and then make specific padding that would make them look even but would still be able to hold up the smaller breast. And it cost money, yes, but her grandparents, who she lived with, were willing to buy that for her. And so, but you can't find that anymore. Everything's either bought online or, you go into a store and you have to grab, like a handful of bras and go into a changing room and pray to God that one fits. And it sucks.
And yeah, that was essentially the hell that Kat was going through. Is she had outgrown store sizes,
Yes.
and they kept trying to cram her into either an F cup or a double D.
Oh, geez, that had to hurt. I can only imagine.
And what they would do is they would just keep increasing the band size.
Oh, so
And I kind
it
of
was
wonder.
hanging loose on her.
So, well, yeah, it was the more band size to compensate for the fact that the cups weren't doing the job. And I kind of wonder if that's you, that was you to some degree as well, because apparently a lot of double D cups are not wearing the right size.
I wouldn't be surprised because sometimes I would get a bra and the cup size would be too big, or I'd get a
Mhm.
bra and I'd be spilling out.
Yeah.
So I've just honestly found it easier to wear sports bras these days. So that, you're probably right. I need to have my measurements redone.
Um, that and apparently just the various instructions on measuring make no sense. Add 6 to subtract 4.
Oh God. No, I don't pay attention to those. I throw those out like, nope,
Yeah.
I don't have the attention span to do that.
And they tend to actually not work.
No, they don't. I mean, how it's easy to measure your hips, it's easy to measure your waist, but to measure your bust, there's so many working parts to it. They always want you to measure the top of your bust. But what about the bottom? You need to measure that too.
So they don't usually just do the band and cup or bust measurement.
Uh, Usually I would just see the band in the cup, but
Yeah.
like I said, sometimes cup sizes don't work. I
Yeah.
mean,
They're always different. Yeah.
like they always say measure at the top. So, but the top is like the way they show it in the diagrams, what I've seen is like right where your bust starts. Not like, you need to be at the right swell, like right where your nipples are, basically. That is what you need to measure
Yeah.
across. But a lot of times they don't have you do that. At least what I have seen in diagrams that I have had to deal with.
Which is the only way the cat's gotten it to work, is to measure right at the furthest point projected.
Yes.
So, okay, Cesario says, on Victoria's Secret, can we touch upon bullet bras? When done right, they look neat. I don't know. Do you have any comment on that?
Forgive me. What is a bullet bra? Is that the
Oh,
pointy ones? Are those the
yeah,
pointy
from the
ones?
50s.
Oh, when done right, they're great. Honestly, I truly believe that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you can watch a ton of movies from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and those bullet bras are on point. They don't look like Laura Croft, is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
they don't look
But
like polygons.
yeah, but I mean, there's other times that you're just like, oh, no, 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 no. You might want to pin those points down. So I was thinking like an actual bra that would look like the fembots from I was like,
Austin
wait, they
Powers.
really sold bras that had barrels on them? I've never seen that.
Okay, does your bust line make you feel more feminine?
Yeah, they're boobs. Of course they make me feel feminine.
Easy, good answer. Well, because right now in this day and age, there is a contingent of people claiming otherwise.
It's because they've
So,
been shamed into it. They think that's what it's supposed to be. That's so sad.
okay, physical limitations on breasts, real or an exaggeration?
Real. And
Yeah.
I will tell you why. Okay. So I'm already a very big woman now. So wearing a kung fu uniform, I have to have it in double XL. But one of the problems is that when I'm doing a block, uh, if you've seen a typical block in kung fu, like a basic horse stance, you have to put one arm out in front of you and the other arm. It'd be like, okay, I'd have my right arm in front of me, and I would have my left arm where my fist would be at my elbow. Now I'm sitting here doing this while I'm explaining it to you. But sometimes when you're standing there in a horse stance and you've got a block, it's kind of hard to get your arm around your bust to have your fist at your elbow because I have big boobs.
You were
I
so
know.
not a double D. No, seriously, if that was a problem, if that's a problem, you were so not a double D.
And also, I have to have extra large gear for when we do sparring for the chest gear because I can't squish them down. It hurts if you squish them down. So that's kind of a problem. And it's really
Mhm.
weird, though. It's kind of unwieldy. So, I'll be sparring and it's kind of like I kind of got to keep my arms up and away from the sparring gear, or I can get caught on my chest gear while trying to land a punch.
Oh, so you don't get boob armor like in fencing or anything?
No, it's the same. It's boob armor, but because I've had to get a little bit bigger, like it kind of sticks out. I don't know how to explain it. I can see it in my head, but I can't explain it to you guys. But it's not molded too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it's basically one size fit all armor, so it fits better on men. All of us ladies have talked about it
Uh,
before. That
so,
it.
so what you're saying is that there really should be boob armor.
Yeah, it would be nice.
That Sarkeesian's wrong. That there really should be armor sculpted to
Oh
actually
my
fit you.
God, that pissed me off when she said that. It's like, are you for real? Have you seen the poor women that have to wear the flak jackets that don't have the space and how they're squished in or like squishing out and spilling
Yeah.
over? Ugh.
Apparently, it hurts.
Yeah, that woman needs to have her mouth sewn up.
Well,
God, dude, she needs to shut the fuck up.
you've seen her figure.
Yeah.
So yeah, this actually goes right into the next question. Then, so you engage. I was going to ask, you engage in sports, martial arts, bows, firearms.
Yeah, I before COVID happened, I was also doing grappling and sparring and also weapons training. Weapons training is also a hard one for me. If I'm not using a staff or a stick, when I'm having to use like a foam sword, there's a certain way we're supposed to stand, and my boobs are too big for my arm to stand over, so I can get a good like guard up. So that was a struggle for me, but
Hmm.
grappling also, I kind of felt bad when I'd be grappling and the age range for grappling is like 13-year-olds and up. So I'd be really scared if I had to grapple some poor 13-year-old kid. And like, I'm trying to get him into a triangle hold or something. And I don't want to smother him with my chest, but also, with
I'm sure
adult
he
men
wanted
too.
you to.
Oh, I'm sure. But like the mom in me was like, I can't be a pervert. So I would just kind of, I would be very unorthodox. I would just put my hands on the kid's chest and hold him down, like far away from the child. Like I don't want to be that woman that does that to that
Yeah,
poor kid. But I
completely
have to.
shapes him for life.
Yeah, exactly. um but there's I have to grapple with men too, and I mean we're grappling like we are body to body fighting to dominate, and it would be weird, but if like my boob was in the dude's face, my boob was in the dude's face, and like I'm sure that they weren't thinking in a sexual manner because they were too busy trying to win.
Yeah.
But still, I have bigger boobs. So like sometimes I would accidentally smack a guy in the face with my tit while grappling. And then I told you about sparring with like the gear and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, because of COVID, I'm just doing the traditional choi li fut with no
Yeah.
sparring, grappling, or weapons. But yes, I used to
Um,
be a lot more active a year ago.
do you have? It's been over a year since I've seen you in person, so I don't recall. Do you have broad shoulders or narrow shoulders?
I have broad shoulders.
You have broad shoulders. Okay. Hmm. All right. It's just interesting. I was going to wonder if maybe if broad shoulders helped compensate or not. So
Uh, Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I've never really like investigated my body
yeah, I'm just
except
curious.
when I've been injured. I know that I do have my shoulders are actually wonky now because
Yeesh.
I got into a terrible car accident in 2006. And they said nothing was wrong with my shoulders because they only took an x-ray. But when I would go in to have a deep tissue massage, they could feel the scar tissue in my right shoulder and shoulder blade. So that might actually be part of it too, because Steve has said before, he says sometimes if he looks just right, I look a little crooked.
Interesting. Okay. So that might be another factor. Yeah, it was interesting you mentioned the fencing or what with the foam swords,
Yeah, the weapon sparring.
but you're doing Eastern sword fighting where Kat had done fencing, with a foil,
Mhm.
and that wasn't an issue. That never got in the way, but that's an entirely different fighting style.
Fencing's rad.
Mhm.
That's something I know my husband really liked it too. We actually had a friend that ended up, he was like a champion fencer, and he ended up becoming the women's coach for Vassar for like 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, I didn't know him as well as Steve did. When we visit, you guys can ask him about Aaron and his time at Vassar.
I will definitely. So the goddamn bacon asks, funny y'all bring it up. I was the weapons master at my old school. Could work with just about anything we trained with. Well, are you female? I mean, your avatar and goddamn bacon. Goddamn bacon kind of implies male. Just saying.
Actually, I'd be interested to know what your weapon specialty was if you had one. Like, my aim is to be specialized in the wind and fire wheels.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll see if he answers or she answers. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Um, okay. Elton says, in a way, those limitation boobs gave her a reminder of how bodybuilders just can't reach certain parts of their body with their arms anymore. Okay. Interesting. And Michael says, what's one piece of advice you wish you were told when you were young about having big, I guess, knockers?
I got all the advice I needed from my mom. My mom and dad laid it out on the table. Like, they said, you're going to have big boobs. You're going to have guys looking at them. You're going to probably have somebody try to grab them. My mom, was always about always get a good bra. Um, always make sure you get clothing that fits correctly so you don't look weird or boxy. Um, yeah, I got all my good advice. That they were really upfront about it, especially my mom. My mom would talk about it with me. She wasn't really too afraid to talk about that kind of stuff.
Well, that's good. So you
Yeah.
were prepared. You didn't walk into this unaware.
No,
You knew what you were getting into.
as I got older and my boobs got bigger, my dad, working at a high school, laid it out for me. It's like, dude, they are going to love your boobs. They are going to stare at them. They are going to try and grab them. Just be prepared, hit them if they do.
Your dad sounds so cool.
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't ill prepared at all. In fact, as I was growing up, my mom always made sure to make sure that I had bras that fit. So
That's a
I
big
give
deal.
her props for that. I mean, she really made sure.
Is it much of a challenge shopping for clothing?
Uh, yes, because I like button-up shirts and I can't wear them. I've never been able to wear button-up shirts, and I have to order them about 2 sizes bigger than I really am. Uh, because I could be skinny these days and still couldn't wear a button-up shirt.
Mm,
And it sucks because especially, the 90s when we had all those beautiful plaid shirts that
yeah.
we could wear. And I always had to wear a tank top underneath mine, and it sucked. And I could never wear those baby doll t-shirts, the baby doll button-up shirts, the baby doll polos because they just
You'd
would
look
be
like you're
too.
going to explode.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. It looked like the shrink wrap went on wrong. And so I wore a lot of baggy shirts in high school. As I got older, more confident, I started wearing regular size shirts, but yeah, button-up shirts are like my kryptonite.
You should try taking a look at some of the British and Polish manufacturers. You might be able to find something fitted.
Ooh, okay.
Um, I can never recall. Kat knows the manufacturers she could recommend that she gets clothing from.
Okay, cool.
Um, then, what do you usually wear in public?
Uh, I I dress like a mom. So it's if
Okay,
I
when you
can
were
get it.
younger.
Okay, when I was younger, I always wore jeans because I love jeans. I would wear tank tops, oversized t-shirts, whatever shirt I got at Comic Con that had like a Superman symbol on it or something. Uh, when it was winter time, it was wore long sleeve shirts and hoodies. So like I said, I dressed like a tomboy. That 90s. I didn't wear dresses really until I got together with my husband. I only wore dresses to prom. And I have to say, prom dressing was shopping for prom dresses was a little hard.
I bet.
Yeah. So, but my mom made sure that I got a nice prom dress. But yeah, and shopping for any fancy dance was really hard for me. I had to have one dress altered because it came down too low. So my mom sent it into somebody and they altered it where my cleavage was covered because it was a nice dress, but the cleavage, my cleavage was spilling out at 15 years old.
Damn.
Yeah.
No wonder you were popular with guys. All right. Well, that is all the questions. I really appreciate you doing this live. I mean,
No
it'll kind
problem.
of give the audience a sense of some of the information they're going to find in the book and the playful tone that it's going to have. And I look forward to your visit. Definitely. Kat and I will definitely show you around Arizona.
Yeah, I haven't been there since I haven't been around Arizona since I was 13. Like I said, I stopped over for a little bit on my way to England at the Sky Harbor in Phoenix. But I didn't go outside because it was too damn hot. It was
Yeah.
the middle of August.
Well, it isn't going to be hot this time around. It's nice right now.
Oh yeah, I used to go to Phoenix for my grandmother's birthday. She was born, or my great grandmother. She was born on St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, I liked going to Phoenix in March. That's why I was like, we're going in March.
All right. Well, I'm going to call this a night, guys. Thank you for joining us. And we'll do a nothing cast with Kat pretty soon when she's up to it. So good night. Thank you for joining us. And if anyone else wants to be interviewed, email me.
Night, guys.